Hello ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reacts, and this is China tried to hit US Navy A-18 Super Hornet. Then this happened by channel Navy Media. This is from Navy Media, so I don't know if this is like the other channel who creates simulation type scenarios. This is a real thing. It says in August 2025, an F-A-18 Super Hornet flying east of Taiwan detects an enemy radar lock. So from Chinese J-16. So this is a real thing, I'm guessing. It's going to be interesting. Let's watch this one.
On August 4th, 2025, a U.S. Navy F-A-18 Super Hornet streaks across the skies 65 miles east of Taiwan, right above international waters, when a sharp tone erupts in the cockpit. Enemy radar lock detected. This isn't a passive scan. It's a hard lock, full targeting mode from a Chinese J-16 closing in fast at over 500 knots. The pilot snaps left into evasive flight. His threat receiver flashes red. Weapons grade lock. No warning, no comms. Within seconds, countermeasures are armed, flares primed, ECM systems humming. The Hornet's nose dips low to the deck, hugging airspace at 300 feet. This isn't training. This is real. And it could escalate. Fast. The Hornet's pilot pulls hard left. The G-forces hit like a hammer, but he stays locked in. He deploys flares. Brilliant streaks of magnesium shoot off behind the jet, meant to blind any heat-seeking missile. The radar warning stays.
Okay, I don't want to sound an alarmist or something, but remember, during World War II, Germany basically, even in World War I, basically, mostly in World War I, not World War II, World War I, they just basically attacked France, thinking France is going to join the war anyway, might as well attack them now. That's what Germany did in World War I, right? So why am I saying this? If China decides to attack Taiwan, they might attack USA first, thinking they're going to join anyway. So if scenarios like this happen, you never know if this is a bullying tactic or this is like Putin saying special military operations has begun. So no fighter ever knows, is this the beginning? Is this happening? So all of them will have to be all the time on alert because they might be the first step of attack. China might start attack with them and then the chain starts, trying to take over Taiwan. It will create a massive war between US and China, but if China takes over Taiwan very quickly, it's a war, it happens, everybody will back down, and now China has a Taiwan. That could be one of their mentality.
The lock is still active. This isn't a bluff. The Chinese J-16 is pressing in. A twin-engine heavy fighter with long-range radar and air-to-air missiles, built for intimidation. And he's doing exactly that. The J-16 is now less than 40 nautical miles out. That's 1 minute from weapons range. Inside the American cockpit, silence. No chatter, no call for backup. Just tight breathing and the low growl of the engines. But what the Chinese pilot doesn't know is this. This Hornet isn't flying solo. 30 seconds earlier, another F-A-18 launched from the same carrier strike group had taken up a flanking position, well behind the J-16, out of radar view. The textbook bait maneuver. If the Chinese fire first, they'll have a second problem on their 6. At 7:43, the lock vanishes. The J-16 breaks right, a hard turn toward Chinese airspace. No shots fired, no radio call, no explanation. But one thing is clear, this was not a misunderstanding. It was a test, a provocation, and it almost triggered something far worse. The American jets reform and maintain position. Still inside international airspace, still calm, but now alert. The carrier strike group is 100 miles west. Support is 12 minutes away, but up here, you don't wait, you react. Today, the Chinese jet backed off. Tomorrow, maybe not. This wasn't the first time either, and if recent patterns hold, it won't be the last. Between 2014 and 2024, there were over 300 recorded
China is probably the worst country on the world for bullying. I don't know what mentality they have, but they bully everyone around them, thinking that will make them back off. America, in Taiwan, Philippines, in India, they literally take over areas, right? You see a checkpost there, like, yeah, that's where the China starts. After sometimes you come back, the checkpost has moved closer. Like, how'd that happen? They literally move structures closer. They're like, oh, it was always here. What you talking about? What you gonna do about it? This is just point blank bullying.
close encounters between Chinese and Western military aircraft over the South China Sea. Some were professional, many weren't. In May 2023, a Chinese J-16 cut across the nose of a U.S. RC-135 surveillance plane at just 20 feet. The turbulence shook the American jet like a leaf. The Pentagon called it unnecessarily aggressive.
Yeah, for an RC-135 plane, that kind of turbulence would basically has a potential to damage equipment inside, right? This is like that submarine giving out a sonic boom warning shot that bleeds people's ear. Isn't that an attack? You can technically see this and like warn Chinese, like we count this as an attack. Don't do that again, otherwise we'll blow you up. The next jet is going to get blown up if you do this.
China called it standard procedure. In October 2022, a Canadian CP-140 Aurora maritime patrol aircraft was intercepted 5 times in one mission. Chinese fighters fired flares in front of the cockpit and jammed its radar. Australian pilots have been targeted too. In June 2022, a Chinese jet released aluminum chaff directly into the flight path of an Australian P-8 Poseidon, forcing the crew to take evasive action. The chaff was designed to confuse radar. It almost shattered the Poseidon.
Nah, this is just like some slapping somebody, like bullying them, like what you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? I would count this as an attack. If I were there, I would just like, if I were the commander in that area, I would just like tell them to basically lock on the target and give them the warning shot. Back away or we're blowing your shit up. If it causes war, then it does it. This is ridiculous. You're gonna throw chaffs at a plane. What if that causes some kind of a malfunction in the engine? How is that not an attack? This pisses me off, man.
These aren't accidents. They're pressure tactics. Calculated risks aimed at pushing boundaries, testing responses, and asserting dominance over disputed airspace. Military analysts call it grayzone aggression. Actions that stop just short of war, but still carry real danger. All it takes is a misread, a malfunction, or a missile lock that someone decides not to cancel. And here's the dangerous part. None of these incidents resulted in formal diplomatic talks. No hotlines were used, no resolutions followed, just risk resets until the next flyby. So when a U.S. pilot...
I can already hear diplomats. Don't be a weak bee. Just handle it. You do yourself. If they bully you, you bully themselves. And just go back to drinking tequilas and whatever. This is your damn job. Call them and say like, this is going to escalate. Calm the hell down.
Gets locked up by a Chinese jet on August 4th, 2025. That's not a freak event. That's the new normal. Let's break down what actually happened in the sky on August 4th. When the U.S. pilot saw the warning enemy radar lock detected, it meant that the Chinese J-16 had switched from a search mode to track and lock mode, a focused beam targeting the aircraft's exact position and velocity. The J-16 uses a Type 1473 phased array radar, capable of tracking multiple targets at once, with precision down to just a few meters. Once locked, the fire control system is one button away from launching a PL-12 or PL-15 missile, active radar-guided weapons with ranges up to 200 kilometers. So what did the American pilot do? He followed protocol. Step 1, break line of sight and confuse the missile's tracking. That's where the sharp bank and flares came in. Flares distract heat-seeking weapons. The maneuver disrupts radar locks. Step 2, electronic countermeasures or ECM. The A-18 Super Hornet is equipped with an ALQ-214 IDECM system. It emits jamming signals, decoys, and signal spoofing patterns that make the Hornet appear invisible or displaced on enemy radar. Think of it like a smokescreen, but in the electromagnetic spectrum.
Seriously, man, is there any more badass plane than F-18? It has a smallest cross radar section of any 4th gen plane. Something that is not the stealth plane. This is the smallest. Smaller than Su-57, by the way. On top of that, it has this electronic jamming, electronic warfare in it that's going to confuse radars anyway. It's a twin jet. This is why you hear about, every time you hear about Navy using anything, it's F-18. Anytime USA does anything, it's F-18. Such a powerhouse of a plane.
Meanwhile, the second Hornet circling behind the J-16 likely activated passive sensors only, collecting data without emitting radar. If it had turned on its own fire control radar, it could have triggered a full engagement. Instead, it stayed quiet, a silent threat. That balance, showing strength without firing first, is what keeps these encounters from turning hot. But here's the problem. At these speeds, the timeline from lock to launch is under 4 seconds. The pilot has to decide right now whether this is a scare tactic or the start of something much worse. One wrong guess, and it's not just one plane going down, it's 2 superpowers spiraling into conflict. This kind of aerial tension isn't new either. On April 1st, 2001, a U.S. Navy EP-3E surveillance aircraft was flying a routine mission over international waters near China's Hainan Island. It was shadowed closely by 2 Chinese J-8 interceptors. Then one of them got too close. At over 300 knots, one of the J-8s collided with the EP-3's wing. The Chinese jet disintegrated. The pilot was killed instantly. What followed was an 11-day international standoff. The 24-member American crew was interrogated and detained. The EP was torn apart by Chinese investigators. And the world got a front row seat to just how fast routine surveillance can explode.
Come on, in 2001, China interrogated all this US Air Force. By that point, USA should have gone apeshit. Release them or I'm attacking you. In 2001, China wasn't even powerhouse back then. Are you kidding me?
Into geopolitical crisis. The Hainan incident marked a turning point. Before 2001, aerial intercepts were tense, but usually professional. After Hainan, they got aggressive. Since then, the Chinese military has consistently pushed the limits, flying closer, reacting faster, and using radar locks as signals of strength. The goal? To test Western nerves, see how far they can go without getting a missile in return. Sound familiar? What happened on August 4th, 2025 echoes that same pattern. A Chinese jet takes a calculated risk, a US pilot reacts. No shots fired, but the tension is real, the danger is real, and the room for error is razor thin. And just like in 2001, one wrong move could shift the global balance overnight. Let's imagine a different outcome. What if the Chinese pilot had fired? From 40 nautical miles, a PL-15 missile would reach the Hornet in under 70 seconds. That's less than a minute and a half to detect, respond, and survive. The missile climbs, locks on using active radar, then dives in at Mach 4. It's built for one thing: long-range kills before you even see the launch. If fired, the Hornet's warning system would have escalated instantly. Missile inbound, jamming, flares, maneuvers. But survival would be far from guaranteed. Now, here's where things
I don't know, man. Chinese weapons are not really tested much. They're just stats. Oh, here's the number. Every time Chinese weapon is getting tested, they all suck point blank. Never works. So all these stats says, oh, you would just take out F-18. I don't know. The electronic warfare jamming would have worked, and F-18 would have blown the plane up. Right? J-16 wouldn't have survived.
really spiral. The second jet, now behind the J-16, would be cleared to fire. Immediate retaliation under rules of engagement, likely with an AIM-120 AMRAAM closing the distance in under 45 seconds. 2 missiles, 2 pilots, but it wouldn't stop there. Both aircraft belong to carrier strike groups. That means AWACS, cruisers, and destroyers in the area. All watching, all listening. And they don't wait for CNN to confirm a shootdown. They go to threat condition red. Electronic warfare systems activate.
Virginia submarine as well. Why not? Everybody has Tomahawk cruise missiles. That shit would escalate pretty fast. A lot of things at the coastal area would blow up.
Aegis cruisers lock their radars on air targets. Air patrols scramble. Submarines moved into intercept positions. The entire region heats up within minutes. Back in Beijing and Washington, the phones start ringing. Crisis teams assemble, but the damage is already done. 1 missile, 2 aircraft, thousands of lives at risk. And then there's the reality. There is no clear protocol for what happens next. There's no hotline script for a mid-air kill between nuclear-armed powers. Just confusion, pressure, and the hope that someone...
I disagree. There is no confusion. Usually that's not how US military works or any military works. There is reactionary things, right? They're being back and forth. Depending on the answer, they'll just escalate from there on. Eventually things goes all the way to White House, and they just make a decision what we're doing about it. They probably talk to the leaders. If nothing resolution comes up, conflict starts.
Somewhere chooses not to escalate even further. In 2025, the line between warning and war is measured in mere seconds and fired from 40 miles away. Why does this happen here?
Things usually moves as packages, not a stream. So if this happens, F-18 just blows up J-16. If there are more planes in the area, aircraft carrier launches more planes, destroyers work. This is a phase that finishes. Probably US would blow up most of the Chinese things. Then it pauses, back and forth will happen, and it will just starts in a wave. Usually it's not a stream. Like this is like a video game, there's like infinitely like shredding down and things like that. So US would overpower at the early stages because logistically and everything they're very prepared compared to Chinese, and not to mention Chinese weapon most time doesn't even work. That would be a surprise. And then there will be back and forth, right? Chinese commander talking to US Navy commander, like all the way to top command. Maybe it escalates. Depends on how they want to move forward. Maybe US is like, I'm done with this shit. You don't strong arm me, so more ships arrive, more pressure rises. China doesn't back down, and it's like an Iran-style conflict. Back and forth blowing up.
Because the South China Sea isn't just any stretch of water. It is one of the world's most contested flashpoints.
Because of China.
China claims nearly all of it, including parts that international law says belongs to Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and open ocean. But they've built artificial...
Apparently Indian oceans belong to them. That's why they're putting bases in Sri Lanka and Pakistan. Yeah. India is not Philippines. And India has a geographical advantage. Good luck with that shit.
Islands, armed them with runways, radars, and anti-ship missiles, and declared it their territory. But under international law, including the 2016 Hague ruling, these claims are invalid. Still, China enforces its claims with warships, planes, and patrols. And right in the middle of that is Taiwan.
See, the problem with that is China can just say, screw the Hague ruling. I don't agree with that, so it doesn't apply to me. Usually times like that, world throws sanctions. So it would become Russia 2.0 or Iran 2.0. The reason it doesn't, because US have put all their chips into China. They can't just sanction China, otherwise world economy stops. So that was a massive blunder. If China was flexing in front of USA all the way back in 2001, why did you give everything to them? Like, yeah, you are our industrial hub. We'll just put factories in China and that's fine. We're not going to make anything locally. We'll just give everything to China and China is going to make it for us. Now you have a problem, right? You should have known this coming. You should have diversified, like put some factories in Africa, put some factories in India, and then put some factories in China. Not fully China, right? Now you're diversifying slowly, but by this point, it's slightly too late. You kind of need China at this point.
Sits 100 miles off the Chinese coast and is viewed by Beijing as a breakaway province. But the U.S. treats Taiwan as a strategic partner, selling them weapons, training their forces, and conducting freedom of navigation operations nearby. These missions, like the one on August 4th, are designed to assert international rights, fly where it's legal.
I love that, man. Look at that. Look at how as soon as it just like completely left. The level of reactionary time. Look at that. As soon as it passes, it's going to just turn left.
International rights to fly where it's legal, even if Beijing doesn't like it. But every mission carries a risk. Chinese fighters patrol their claimed air defense identification zone, even if that zone stretches far beyond their borders. When a U.S. jet crosses into that space, it's followed, locked, sometimes even harassed, and the danger isn't just military. $3.4 trillion in trade, and yes, I said trillion, passes through this region every year.
Yeah.
Tankers, container ships, fiber optic cables. A conflict here wouldn't just disrupt U.S.-China relations, it would completely shatter global stability. So when a radar lock flashes in a cockpit just east of Taiwan, it's not just about two planes, it's about the future of a region that half the world depends on, whether they know it or not. August 4th was a snapshot. Tense, fast, and almost invisible to the world. But zoom out, and it reveals a much bigger shift. The United States and China are locked in what analysts call strategic competition. Not open war, not peace, something in between. On one side, the U.S. Navy remains the world's most advanced maritime force, built for global reach, rapid response, and dominance in open waters. On the other side, you have the People's Liberation Army Navy, which is growing faster than any modern force in history, with new jets, more warships, space capabilities, and cyber units. And Beijing...
Yeah, they have basically more ships than America by number, not by tonnage. This is literally like, you know what, I can do this. Okay, here's a ship. Look at how good it looks. Should we test it? Should we see if it works in all conditions? No. Make me 1,000 of them by tomorrow. When conflict starts and you have cracks in this armor, everything will collapse. Doesn't matter your number. If anything, that defeat will be really bad. It's like even after all, imagine that. Oh, US aircraft carrier group with like 10 ships went against 100 ships from China and it took like 20 minutes. How embarrassing that would be.
Is becoming bolder in how it uses them. Incidents like this radar lock are just signals, military messaging without words. China shows its willingness to push boundaries. The US shows it won't back down. But here's the problem. Both sides believe that they're acting defensively. Beijing sees U.S. patrols as provocation. Washington sees radar locks as threats. That disconnect is where things get dangerous. Right now, there's no permanent crisis hotline between Chinese and U.S. military commands. No standing agreement on intercept distance. No shared escalation rules in airspace.
I think most is because in the modern worlds, you don't need a hotline. You can get through people if you really wanted to. This is not like Cold War. It's a different thing. You don't need red phones now. And yeah, both sides believing, China believes because they're powerful and they're very like strong armed. They're like combination of like very weird thing. That's what communism is. But they're very dictatorial because of that. And they're like, we deserve all that. That sea belongs to us. If US can dictate around Atlantic and Pacific, we can dictate around here. No, US has a unique geography. There's not many countries there. That's how American peninsula, whatever you call it, America is. China is not like that. There is India there. There is a million different countries there. Japan there. South Korea there. You can't just claim this is all mine. You can't come to Himalaya and say, Himalaya is mine. First of all, there's a reason why it's called Himalaya and not some Chinese word. You can't just come there and just claim everything. Just because you have power, like might, whatever the phrase is, might makes right or whatever, right? No. If that's the case, others have might as well. You don't want to do that shit.
So when a Chinese pilot hits the lock-on switch and an American pilot has to guess whether it's real or not, well, that's not just risky. That's how accidents become incidents, and incidents become global headlines. Every close call chips away at trust. Every maneuver tests the edge of peace. On August 4th, 2025, two pilots played chicken over the South China Sea. One pulled back, the other held the line, but it could have gone the other way. And that's the point. This isn't training anymore. These are real missions, real weapons, real risk. And with every new intercept, the edge of peace gets thinner and thinner.
This is not really a new thing. China does that a lot. There's a reason why India bought Apache helicopters from America. Apache is awesome. But Apache is even a million times more awesome if it's about Himalayas. I think US didn't even realize when they made Apaches that they made it specifically really well for Himalayas somehow. So when India got it, that basically gave them the superpower. So there was a lot of Chinese bullying happening in the like valleys and creeks of Himalayas. Himalaya is a massive range, and China is there, and also India is there. That's the border, right? But it's really hard to contain. But one thing about India is very good at this mountainous warfare compared to China, Pakistan, anything else. And now India has Apaches and so this basically gave India such a power that it's pushing back China now, right? In past 10 years or so, China has kind of like stalled in their bullying. Before that, it was like intense, right? Taking over places that didn't belong to them, and they're like, yeah, we always had this. What? Near like Jammu and Kashmir in the North India, they literally grabbed the area and built a highway there. What you going to do about it? It's not like India's going to throw a bomb at them thinking, why did you do that? That would cause conflict. It's like running to a place, calling dibs, and what you going to do about it? That kind of thing. So India just started to get this equipment and it just stalled it, right? So China has history of doing this. They bully everything. I'm surprising Mongolia still exists and China didn't consume it. I guess China doesn't want to. I don't know. All right, well, there you go. China tried to hit a US F-18 Super Hornet. Yeah, that's not going to end well. Don't F with the US boats and US Navy. That's just going to end badly. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.